All consciousness rise. The great court of Ma'at is now in session. Presiding is his divine honor, Asar Jonathan, keeper of the scales, lord of truth, guardian of balance. All hearts will be weighed, all tongues will speak, all souls will be measured.
O Mayat, maximally great mother of truth, justice, order, balance, reciprocity, harmony, and righteousness, keeper of the celestial scales, voice of truth that cannot be fronted, guardian of the path where chaos cannot stand. You who clear the streets paved with gold across the field of reeds of heaven, and the duat as we walk through the third hour, entering into the third gate. Open the way for us tonight, that we may pass over. Tonight we stand at the threshold of life, north, south, east, west, between the seen and unseen, between Ka and Ba, between memory and resurrection power. We call upon the maximally great Father, the radiant mind behind all order, the uncreated source, whom the ancients called Atum Ra, who declared in the coffin text, I came forth from the waters as the first light. We call upon the maximally great Mother, the womb of the worlds, she who bends over creation, also known as Nut. As the pyramid declares, I place the sky upon your head that you may rise. We call upon the company of the Necharu, Aset, the healer, Haru, the risen one, Ta, the architect, Sekhmet, the flame, Tahuti, the divine word, Het Haru, the joy, Khnum, the potter, Haket, the breath, Sekhwet, the protectress, and Pu, the guide, and the countless luminous powers. May they unite in one pillar of divine fire around us. O divine ones of the eastern horizon, make me a spirit equipped, shining strong. O guardians of hours of the night, those who travel with Ra through the 12 gates, you declared in hour 3 of the book of Gates, the soul who knows the names ascend, the dark ones fall away. Grant us remembrance of our names, our purpose, our inner sun. O Heliopolis powers, place in our hearts the 42 fruits of Mayat, not merely spoken, but embodied. We honor virtue, truth, compassion, discernment, balance, self-mastery, courage, wisdom, order, justice, gratitude, peace, humility, purity, righteous thought, righteous speech, righteous action, integrity, responsibility, devotion, faithfulness, reciprocity, light, harmony, awareness, love, forgiveness, healing, protection, duty, renewal, patience, strength, presence, reverence, unity, sacred silence, understanding, focus, and truthfulness, and divine law. The opener of the way, open the way before us. Open the way within us. Open the way through us. And may every heart rise as Haru rose. May every mind shine as Ra shines. May every soul be light enough to pass through the gates. For the ancients declared, your soul is a living flame. Rise and come forth by day. They have arrived. The way is open. The way is clear. And the way is holy. Ashe. Brother Tim, X, you may enter to the third hour, marching forth by day through the third gate. Let us receive him with thanksgiving as he enters into this court with glowing rays of light shining upon the minds tonight.
Today, we're going to talk about how the consciousness works and how the system is using frequencies and other little tricks to, enter into our conscious states and control the people we are, control our destinies, and control basically every aspect of our life, actually. And what we want to do here is basically tap into this just so that people can try to, understand frequencies and how they're used. You know, try to get us back where we're supposed to be at in the remembrance of who we truly are. So I'm going to share some of my content here. So what we have here, right, is universal mind, right? Universal mind. Okay, it's the formless stuff. Just take a look here, right? And what I'll do here is I'll actually give a written breakdown of this. It says here, universal mind, the formless spiritual energy behind all life, the infinite intellect, the pure oneness funnels into our being as pure consciousness, our soul, our spiritual essence, the pure consciousness has the qualities of peace, love, and wisdom. In this pure state, we have natural mindfulness and are completely one with the moment. Universal mind gives us the power to have consciousness, the power to create thought. The thoughts we create with that power enters into our consciousness. And depending on the quality of the thinking, contaminated to varying degrees, giving us an infinite variety of levels of consciousness that gradually descend from from as close to pure consciousness as we can get in human form to the dredges of rage, terror, depression, and hate created by us. From our own ability to think up a personal reality, all levels are also part of the allness of mind, because mind is behind and is all things. Thus, mind is all things, and therefore it must also be one, and as one, it is the purest part of itself. Okay, so this is the chart that I had, actually redone to make it more pleasing to the eye. So it says the universal mind is the formless stuff, the spirit energy, life force, infinite intelligence. Okay, this is what people call the universe, and this is where manifestation starts, actually. If you look to the left of the chart, it says the power to have consciousness, peace of mind. And it says the levels of consciousness. It say here, interested, amused, joyful, exhilarated. Those are like the peaceful states of mind. Those are like, the great, the aspects of the human nature that is tied to the universal mind. And if you look to the right, it says contamination of thought. Contamination of thought, right? It comes from love, right? And this is the human aspect of us, the love part, right? And it all comes and is tied to the universal mind, that life force, that infinite oneness. Okay, let's go back to the part where it says the pure consciousness has the qualities of peace, love, and wisdom. In this pure state, we have natural mindfulness and are completely one with the universe. Universal mind gives us the power to have consciousness and the power to create thought. The thoughts we create with that power into our consciousness, and depending on the quality of that thinking, contaminated to a varying degree, giving us the infinite variety of levels of consciousness that gradually descend from as close to pure consciousness as we can get in human form to the dredges of rage, terror, depression, and hate created by us, right? So I'm going to stop there and go back here. So I'm going to use actually hip hop in the music industry as an example of how they're using our people against us to actually tap into this consciousness, using the frequencies in the music to actually, you know, make us feel, right? You see here is feeling, interested, amused, joy, exhilarated on the left. And on the right, it says grateful, humble, compassionate, and caring. Okay, these are all beautiful, beautiful feelings to have, right? These feelings is what influence the universal mind to respond to us, to create manifestation, all these wonderful feelings. So now, this is the neutral side of things, right? So now on the bottom, it says annoyed, irritated, angry, outraged, worried, anxious, fearful, terror. And a lot of the music, right? They spread all of these feelings, all of these feelings at one, and it's all influencing the universe. It's all influencing us. It's tapping to us, our consciousness, and bringing it back into the universe and manifesting these things in our lives. So if you take, for example, growing up as a child, just coming into the earth, right? Our influences are in the house first. First of all, first and foremost, our influences start within the home. So as far as we can remember back, if a lot of us think back growing up, our parents listened to certain type of music. Depending on, the culture of the household, you heard whatever you heard. But the words and the music always touched us, even in our youngest, purest ages. We didn't understand these words. We didn't, we had no experience with anything that was basically said in these words, but we can feel them. We can feel them. As we got older, we started to understand the music even more. And like they said, depending on the quality of the music, these are the things that's entering our state, our conscious state. So depending on the quality is what our thinking pattern comes from. Think about the love music that we heard. I remember listening to a lot of the love music that my mom and dad and a lot of the elders played around me as a child. Even though I didn't understand the words, I actually loved the music. I fell in love with the music. I didn't experience anything in the music, the R&B, the goods and the bads, the breakups, the letdowns, the disappointments. None of us really understood those at a certain age. I didn't. So as we got older, as we get older, we start to notice certain things, relationships and interactions and everything.
I thought about I was thinking about that a couple weeks ago. Like, all right, so you know how with the hip hop, remember when NWA and all them came out that it was forced you was forced to put the parental
Parental
advisory
advisor.
sticker on the
Yes.
CD.
Yes.
But now that they switched it to now it's no CDs. Now they switched it to streaming. Any kid can just stream the song. Like back then, even like when you were
Absolutely.
saying, even back then, my parents used to buy me CDs, or I had to get their permission to buy the CDs. Now,
Absolutely.
now all they gotta do is click the song, and the song can play whenever. Is no parental advisory on the song on the streaming platform, so it's even more dangerous now.
Absolutely. They had barriers. They had limits on to who can listen to what age you was able to. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate that. So they had, yes, they did that. They definitely had that. And I was going to get there as well, man. I really appreciate that. You gave me time. Yeah, they had a lot of barriers. But like I was saying, like the filtering, the filtering that was there at one point, it seemed like somebody in control had some type of other agenda, but I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there yet. As we can see, like I said, the conscious mind or whatever is subject to how we feel. It's subject to how we feel. So if we look at how we feel with the music, we can understand that even if we never experienced the things that we experienced in the music, we still feel it, we still connect with it. And that's how it works. The thoughts and the feelings, as one put into the universal mind is actually the actual potion for manifestation. So like they said, the quality of our thoughts is what we actually receive back from the universe. So on these with these qualities of thoughts are energy, words are frequency, your feelings are actually actual energy. It's actual energy, magnetic energy. So when we feel these things and we think these things, this is how manifestation works. So, like I said, they use the music to actually tap into these, these thoughts and these feelings of us. And if we can think and feel, we become. So now the quality of music that we're listening to, I wanted to go back to actually growing up and never experiencing the things that we didn't, that we heard in these lyrics and this music that we enjoyed. Having been so young, not personally experiencing relationships and everything, we actually started to see the things start to happen around us, right? With as far as with our elders, people in relationships, the older we get, we start to see more and more. And then we start to think about the music. We have to stop and think about the music. Hold on, a lot of the things that was in this music, was this actually other people experiences, or is this a thing that's being spread around and everybody else is starting to experience what they're enjoying? Is that the thing? Like, does anybody have any input?
You're saying that the words and the words come from the creator, right? We
Right.
come from the creator. And so the words, I think we don't realize, and that's the point you're trying to make, are really powerful. So being very mindful of the thoughts we think, the words we say, and then energetically what we take in. For example, I used to love horror movies. I don't watch them anymore. I don't take in that fear. I'm not taking in that kind of negativity. I surround myself with things that are high vibration. I surround myself with things that provoke my thought, that expand my consciousness, that make my heart happy, that make myself feel joy. And therefore, what manifests, in my life, therefore becomes, one of peace and beauty. And deeper than that, when you talk about consciousness, which I was saying to the brother before, my goal really is, and it is my deepest prayer, to create heaven on earth. And how do we do that? With one, it starts with us inside. And it doesn't even have to be words. We radiate inside peace, one step at a time. And that spreads just like other negativity can spread, so can a good, loving consciousness spread. And the more that we can have these conversations, the more knowledge we have of the power that we have, and that the power around us, like the news. I do not surround myself with that news. That is one system, it is not the whole system. So I don't take a lot of that into my energy field, because I don't want to operate on fear, because I know that there's something greater at work, and that's God, and it comes in many forms, as brother was saying, with many different teachings and many different wisdoms to help us move, through. But I think that's the deeper point you're getting at, is just that power.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And like you're saying, Sister Sandra, actually, this is exactly what I'm saying. Like the
Mhm.
mindset, right? The mindset that we have determines what we receive. It's like the universe doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you are. You understand? So
Mhm.
if you're able to be, if you're able to keep a mindset where love, like you said, she said, peace and happiness and joy and abundance, if you're able to stay in that state of mind with no, with limited, you know, with people having limited access to those thoughts and feelings that you possess, that you try to hold on to. If people have limited access to that or limited influence over that, then you're able to be more in that conscious state rather than just, other influences coming in and changing your state of mind. So yes, that's heaven on earth to actually be able to stay into those feelings. People use fear and other agendas as far as to tap into that field that we have within us. You understand? So that's what it is. The key is tapping and standing to that frequency so you can receive and give the things that's on that frequency. If you're on the frequency of fear, fear has one of the strongest, emotions, and it's one of the strongest influences of our decisions. So if we,
That's right.
yes, so we decide, like, listen, I don't want to be afraid anymore. I don't want to
Right.
be. I don't want to lack anymore. I don't want to, hurt anymore. I don't. So listen, it's about understanding what you want, knowing what you want, and knowing how the universe responds to those wants. The universe responds to those wants by us believing, by us feeling these things about ourselves. They say for the longest of times, they said we're the master of our own destinies. You know what I'm saying? So that
Mhm.
comes from a mindset, and other influences. They try to tell you no. You know what I'm saying? No, you shouldn't you're not the master of your destiny. It's somebody or something outside of yourself
Mhm.
that plans your destiny for you. Of course, they're telling you about other people that's influencing their thoughts and feelings and beliefs on you. So you can experience the things that come with those, feelings and emotion, those thoughts. They want to influence those because they know the power that's inside of us. That if we tap into ourselves and take the hold of the reins, and say, listen, I'm going to take control of how I think about myself, how I feel about myself, what I want for myself, and I'm not going to listen to anybody's, thoughts about who I am or who I should be. I'm going to believe in me. And
Mhm.
we tap into that and we stay connected to that. That's truly heaven on earth. The hell is us fearing that we don't have that power within ourselves and that is somewhere else beside ourselves. So actually,
Exactly.
yes, this is heaven on earth. This is heaven on earth to take control of how you think and how you feel. Does anybody
Exactly.
can anybody think of a time where, I'm pretty sure all of us are, are adults, have experiences with independence and everything, right? So
Mhm.
has anyone ever sat to think about a time where, at your down state, right? Where you was down at your lowest, right? And all of us have fallen a hard time before, I'm sure. And if you think about those hard times, right? Think about the mindset you had right before those hard times, right? And think about how everything was going right before those hard times, the mindset you had. You probably was up and working and everything was flowing well. And okay, so when you hit the low mark, right, what mindset did you start having? Did you start thinking that maybe you were getting bad news, maybe you lost someone, or maybe things started looking a little out of place, or maybe you experienced a heartbreak in a relationship, and that maybe changed a part of how you thought about relationships and life and whatever. We get these little experiences, right? And we start to lose focus on the vision that we had when we were, on to that mark of, independence, being able to pay our bills, take care of our children, put some food on the table and things like that, right? But when, if you think about all the other news and stuff that goes on, the happiness in the family, we start to take on a different mindset and lose focus of that, that mindset that we had when, everything was smooth and we had the vision for what we wanted for ourselves and our families and stuff like that. Everything was smooth, right? So now think about getting back to that mindset, right? Where you was like, I want this for myself. I want this for my family. I want this type of lifestyle. So I'm gonna do what I need to do, to get my mind back where it needs to be. I'm gonna, work. I'm gonna start meditating. I'm gonna start working out. We start thinking about things that we could do to improve ourselves all around, as far as physical, mental, spiritual, whatever. We tap into that source of higher thinking and higher feeling, higher vibrations, and then we're able to have a clear path. If you think about, when you take on that mindset, right? How doors start to open up, or the opportunities start to come. Is when we start to forget about all the problems and focus on the solutions, focus on the dream. Does anybody, have anybody on here experience, or thought about, reflected on, the climbs, the descents, being at the top and being at the lowest? Is there anybody here that can,
I
share?
definitely feel what you're saying because I've definitely seen myself changing through the course of the years. Like, you know what I'm saying? When I find myself like getting in like negative thoughts or like being hindered on certain stuff, and I just be like, nah, that's not right. You gotta focus, like, just be happy. You know what I'm saying? Just be happy, carry that joy, be happy every moment because I do know for a fact that you can have it all. You could be at your lowest one day and you could be at your highest the next day. You know what I'm saying? So like you saying though, you want to ride that wave. So you want to get into a good frequency and just maintain that energy. Yeah, it's definitely been times where I know I'm on a good energy and things just start coming. But like you said though, that's the power though. You can have that at any moment. It's available at any moment. So you just want to
Tap into it. Right. Tap
tap
into that.
into it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Yeah.
Right. So like you were saying, absolutely. It's definitely it's a change, it's a switch and change in mindset. You understand? So like I was saying, I was trying to see if anybody had any examples of, well, I just use myself then, right? Um, I was incarcerated for 10 years from 2008 to 2018, right? And during that incarceration, I was like really on a journey of, you know, self-awareness, self-improvement, trying to figure out ways I could better myself, to keep myself from ever, going back to prison and losing all this time out of my life, losing time with my children and, just experiencing life as a whole, as an independent free man. I just wanted to, figure out ways I can, tap into that nature, because a lot of us haven't, I don't know about you guys, but everybody doesn't have, those, generic, tools that they say you should have, coming up in life. Everybody doesn't have the mother and the father in the home or, structure. So we find our way, we find our way in life. And, it's a lot harder. You know what I'm saying? When you're doing it on your own. So life becomes your teacher. Life becomes your parent. And it will, it'll show you, it'll definitely show you. So basically, I
No,
spent a lot of
that's
time.
100%, bro.
Yeah, definitely. You will. The life will be your parent. Definitely, bro. Definitely. You already know. So, I did a lot of self-reflection. A lot of reading, a lot of studying on ways to tap into the source. Without a spiritual teacher or without anybody to show you the way, you're gonna find your way. So I was pointed back a lot into religion because I grew up, in the beginning, my granddad was a bishop, Pastor Bishop Willie Hamilton. So in the beginning of my life, I grew up in the churches and I learned a lot of, you know, things from the Bible and, I grew up, learning about Jesus in the church and I knew some things. So I tapped into that part of me, I wanted to figure out what Jesus, could do for me at that point. So I went back to Christianity and, started, I got baptized and I started studying the Bible. And it's like when you're studying religion and, trying to get closer to God, you're gonna have some conflicts within yourself. Your human fleshly side is gonna combat with your, you know, your higher nature or whatever. You're not told about your higher nature, so it's going to conflict back and forth as doing studies and everything because something in you tells you this is hard or something in there tells you this is not possible. It's like you just get into this debate within yourself. So I did that a lot, but it's like I had this always felt this little voice, you know what I'm saying, within myself telling me, dig deeper, man. If this is as deep as it goes, I'm going to like leaders and everything. If this is deep as it goes, and it's like I'm lost, So I started studying more and more and more, and it just like pushed me other ways. I started, you know, dipping into Islam, and I studied Islam, and I'm looking deeper. I'm all into it. I'm praying, I'm meditating, I'm fasting, I'm doing everything I'm being told, and it's like in the studying, in the studying, it's always me wanting to go deeper. It's like these questions arrive in the studying, and it's like just go deeper. It's like I need to go deeper. I need the answers to this. It's like if I find something that has more questions, and I go to spiritual leaders or anybody that's educated in these areas, and they can't give me the deeper meaning of things, like in a way where I truly can understand it. It's like I have to go find this answer. I've always been a seeker of knowledge since I can remember. So every question always led me somewhere else. it always led me somewhere else. So I end up looking into Buddhism, and I saw a lot of answers to the questions that I had from the other religions in Buddhism. But I dug deeper into that and deeper into that. And it's like it always push you somewhere else, like just digging and studying and reading. It always push you somewhere else when you come to questions where, you know, like if you're a studier, a seeker of knowledge, it's gonna push you to search deeper. So I've always been a seeker of knowledge, like I said. So it pushed me deeper into myself. I started realizing that me looking deeper into religions and other ideologies, it just pushed me deeper into myself. And I noticed it because I always came into more and more questions, and it sent me down rabbit holes. So in my fasting and my praying and my meditating, I asked the higher source, whoever the higher source was, that listen, I'm lost. I'm completely lost. I said, listen, I'm lost. I don't know where to look anymore. I don't know where to go. Every question I have leads to more questions. And I'm starting to believe that that's not the way life is supposed to go. And I know that whoever created me, whoever willed me onto this planet, into this realm, has a better purpose for me than I understand. So I would like for that source to take the whole and show me the way. And that's when I realized that this is where they say you should, give up your will to do the will of God, to submit. You know, this is true submission. You understand? When you go through life and through the ups and downs, you just get sick and tired, and you want your Lord, your higher, your creator, whatever you want to call it. I don't like to put titles on the creative force. I don't like to put titles because it's like more confusion. You understand? So I like to say that creative force that has, that had the master plan, that had the roadmap, that put this together, that structured this body, that higher consciousness, that universal consciousness, you know, that one. I said, listen, you take it, you show me, you guide me, and I just put my hands up and just go with the flow. I'll go where I'm inspired to go. Because this came from me being tired of the ups and downs and being lost and having the questions. So it pushed me deeper inside myself. So now with that prayer, I start to notice that meditation with that mindset, I start to notice I understand things a little better. I may not be able to explain them better, but I understand them within myself to the point where I have no questions. I have no questions. No, like, so that's what they say. That's what they mean when they say giving up your will, submitting to the higher power, letting Jesus or whoever you believe take the will, take the will. Whoever your higher power is, let them trust that it's all inside. What did Jesus say when one of his followers asked him where was the father? Where did the father live? He said the father was in the kingdom of heaven. They asked him, where was the kingdom of heaven? Is it here? Is it there? He said, no, the kingdom of heaven is within. Jesus told all his followers that the kingdom of heaven is within. So the road to heaven is within yourself. The road to heaven is inside. The road to heaven is a conscious state. It's a conscious state. It's a frequency. It's a decision to give up the negative thinking that's causing the negativity in your life. It's the conscious state to say, listen, I'm going to heaven. I'm going to heaven. I'm going to exist in heaven. I'm going to exist in that eternal peace, that the answer to abundance. The Lord said, be fruitful and multiply. Learn. You know what I'm saying? So if you're learning, if you're starting to understand that, you know, excuse me, if you're starting to understand within yourself that, listen, I don't have all the answers. I don't know where to go. I'm lost when it comes to, everything else that I'm being fed. Tap within yourself. Tap within yourself. Tap within yourself. Make that decision that you don't want it. You don't want that. You don't want the negativity. You don't want the L's. You don't want the hell that comes with allowing other people to decide who you are and what your destination is in life. Your purpose is within yourself. And I'm gonna just end with that, and I'm gonna just open the floor just for anybody that wants to add and bring anything to the table.
I'm thinking, as you were talking that, now I know that my greatest burdens are now my greatest blessings. So there's a gift in darkness. There's a gift in struggle. As I often wonder if we choose that, and if we've chose this life exactly, our soul, exactly our parents, our everything, to further grow our soul. And I think having a lot of questions is good. I mean, there's a lot of humility that I've personally found as I've been on this, quest for truth. Sometimes, not too long ago, there was like a really sweet surrender, just, there's so many mysteries, and I don't have to know everything, and the answers will come too over time. You can really get yourself in a tizzy figuring everything out. There's a lot to learn, and it can be sometimes beyond our understanding in this plane. Um, and then the other thing too is that, as I'm looking, I created a spiritual room, and it says it's okay to feel this way. And there's, this wheel of emotions. Then, it says frightened, terrified, shocked, dismayed, disillusioned, perplexed, liberated, ecstatic, amused, inquisitive. And the list goes on. And, all of the emotions are a gift. And I think when we can start to look at it as such, as not a negative, but more of an opportunity of expression, that we don't have to just be love and light, that's okay. Tears are sacred. They're a wonderful release. They are a gift. And to lean in that, if I'm tired or, I'm feeling a little sad, is to honor my feelings as they're sacred, because God didn't just give us, one emotion, all love and light. God gave us an array of emotions. So to not fight it and rather honor it, I feel like as a gift, what can I learn from this? Why is this coming to me in this way? Has been really powerful for me. And I just want to say I really enjoy the conversation, of seeking what truth is. I think that's how things unravel, and truth, your expansion of your consciousness grows, is by having these conversations. So you did a great job. I thank you so much. Peace to you all.
Great response. I love it.
Thank you, Sister Sandra.
And tonight, my good brother Tim X, man, you brought a powerful message, my brother. It's entitled How They Are Getting to Our Consciousness and the Key to Our Freedom. My brother Tim X, he spent years studying the media. He spent years through the algorithms and the hidden codes being deciphered in the music industry, and the vibration, the warfare that's being waged on our communities.
Mhm.
And as we enter into the third gate and the third actual throat gate, which you will see that we all have, it sits right on our bodies. It is a sacred corridor through which vibration, it becomes reality. And so the principle of Mayat governing this hour is harmony. And the cosmic theme gives us a real clear message that the ancients declared: the sounding of the bark, or the sounding of the boat, because it is through sound, not sight, that creation emerges. And the teachings of this hour, it is very eternal, because when you look at the tongue, it stirs creation, and the sound we emit either elevates or it collapses. And so the question before us tonight is profound. And you can simply ask this: does your words build the world around you in truth, or does it destroy it in haste? And so in this hour, the ancient priests, they taught that the Creator does not create through hands, but through speech, through breath, through vibration. In the ancient pyramid text, it repeatedly declares that the words are divine and they do stand. So before anything existed, sound moved. And before light even shined, vibration stirred. And before form appeared, the Creator spoke the world into being. And so the third hour of the Book of Gates showed the solar bark moving through the darkness, while Ra announces the dawn before the sunrise. And so that means that the sun speaks his own rising before the sky ever sees it. May our Trilogy family, this is a teaching for us that our voice is prophetic. Our speech is a force. Our words are either good spells or bad spells. What we speak becomes the blueprint of what we experience. And so the third disc of the ancient Djed, it governs our throat, our larynx, our esophagus, the entire chamber of vibration. And so determining how we create, influence, and command reality, it goes back to that third disc. And so when the throat is blocked, your destiny is mute. And when that throat is purified, your path becomes audible to the multiverse. So this is why society, they target your sound, your music, your media, your rhythm, your speech, and your self-narrative. Because whoever controls your sound controls your reality. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Speak it, brother. Speak it. You're getting me excited.
It's very interesting because it seems like Brother Tim X, he understands the inner stand and the outer stand, that it's not just content.
It's not. I can feel it, the understanding of it. You know, even just from, you know, studying everything that I know about the frequencies. You know what I'm saying? The reverse C. Y'all remember, you're familiar with the movie Get Out?
Yeah.
And when, you know, he was sitting in that room with the mother, and she had that cup of tea and she was staring at him.
Right.
She was into hypnotherapy, like deeply into hypnotherapy, and she was using the frequencies to actually keep him in place. Like that reverse C, when she tapped the glass with the spoon, and he locked up and went into that dark state where he could see her, but he couldn't, like, he didn't feel like a part of himself. Like he didn't have any control. That was the reverse C that they used to actually tap into your consciousness and lock you in to, you know, what the message is, to what they want you to receive. They throw a bunch of reverse C's in the music to tap into that conscious state. And it's crazy, like how, you know, we're so unaware of it, man. We grew up in a world where everything seems normal. You know, everything seems so normal, but it's people that's, you know, enlightened to the understanding of frequencies and stuff like that, and how they can use music to tap into that. It's funny how they know this and we don't. And then when we find out about it, you know, it's so much of it, so much of the information all over the place, like it kind of scrambles your own thoughts, and you don't know, you know, what's true and what's not true if you don't understand it. If somebody's trying to explain it to you, because it's so deep, man. It's just so deep how they use this, man. And it's like the same people that own the music industry, that run the music industry, are the ones that run the private prisons. You know, right. The private prisons are owned by the same people that own the music industry, and they sit there and they feed all of this music out there and get the results that they want. The drill music, you know, all the trap music and all that. They pushing that out there, and they got the guys feeling like they gotta, you know, do what's in this music, or, you know, live into this, you know, lifestyle that's in this music in order to achieve success. And most of the time, that's not the case. Most of the time, that's really not the case. You go into the jails that they plan for you. You understand?
That's right.
So it's like,
it's crazy. It's crazy because, like, remember in the NW, well, this just an example, but remember in WA when they was all they was like boycott NWA, don't listen to them. like, they destroying music. I remember Tupac had a
Right.
song on All Eyes on Me. It was what was her name? Dolores Tucker.
Dolores C.
What's her-
Tucker. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, remember she was bashing everybody, and she was like, saying, ban hip hop, don't listen to hip hop, but then she was getting a bad rap from that. But at the end of the day, they was doing, they knew what was up. That's why KRS-One been like Boogie Down Productions, hip hop, the old school hip hop, bro. That's what it really was. You know what I'm saying? Then once the mainstream got a hold to it, that's when everything went down.
Absolutely. And if you notice, right, that's just like when we kids, when our parents telling us not to do something, it make us want to do it even more. So that publicity that came behind that, it made it look even more powerful. It made it look like even more to listen to when they publicized the fact that it was, our elders was telling us, put down that music. It always seemed like it was from like a elderly point or a lack of understanding.
I could go deeper. I could go deeper than that, bro. You seen Sinners?
With the brothers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that.
The
one
one
in the,
Michael B. Jordan. Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, and remember that they were saying it started then, because remember they was doing the whole when my man's was singing, his playing the guitar today was in the house. They were singing. They went through all the generations.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Like, the DJ, like the rock and roll, like pretty much they were saying rock and roll was what created all that too. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was just all a deep. They've been programming this from the beginning, bro. Like you were saying.
Yes, definitely.
Like Jonathan was saying earlier before we even started the call, it's hidden knowledge they've been hiding from us since the beginning of time, man.
Absolutely. And it's like, what do they say? If you want to hide something from somebody, put it in a book. They usually say a black person. They got this stereotype that black people don't like to read. But if you want to hide something from a black person, put it in a book. So a lot of us, we rather have other people tell us or, have audio books or something. Like a lot of us have a lazy consciousness where we don't want to sit down and we don't read. Like, we don't get accustomed to reading. And a lot of that information is inside the books. And a lot of the information that a lot of people accept are people that's reading these books and then trying to, rehash it back out for other people to understand. And you're never going to get the full understanding that way if you don't go and do the homework yourself. If you just listen to people that studying and study, that's the only way. If that's the only way, then you're going to have trouble because the translation is not going to always be the same. You might not understand it the same way the next person might understand it. So it's always good to go and do your own research, your own studying, man, because it's a lot more to it than what can be expressed from another person's, verbiage or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
your own interpretations is what you're saying.
Yes. So I encourage all my brothers and sisters to please do your own research, because you doing that research is getting you closer and closer, to knowing who you are, our nature, our powers, our abilities. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I can really say, man. Do your inner work, do your outer work, and really take this. Don't take it. I ain't gonna say take it serious, because life is about freedom. Life is about experiencing the joys and teaching and giving and loving even when it's hard. So that's what life is all about. It's going to be hard, it's going to get easy, it's going to go up, it's going to go down, but we need to figure out how do we stay on that frequency of the ups. It's a key to that. It's an answer to that. How do we stay? It's hard. I know it's hard, psychologically it's hard just knowing what comes with life, but it's a key, it's an answer to staying on that frequency, man. It's a way to stay on that frequency as much as possible,
Yeah.
That's right. And so as you listen to Brother Tim X, you can hear the rhythm, you can see the symbols, you can feel the sound waves. They can shape behavior, they normalize dysfunction and influence emotions and hijack consciousness. And so tonight, he showed us how real battles in the 21st century is not fought with bombs, but it's fought with beats. Not with enemies, but with algorithms. Not only with violence, but with vibration. And so you've learned from Brother Timex tonight that the war is not for your body, but for your sound. It's for that restriction of your freedom. And it's to try to claim your vibration. So let this hour, as creators of Mayat, as voices of truth, as speakers of harmony, as warriors of divine sound, leave knowing that your voice is a cosmic tool. Your tongue is a wand, and your throat is a gate of power. Declare it to yourself. My words are Mayat. My sound is creation, and my tongue is truth. My throat is a gate of power, and I will speak worlds into existence. O universal consciousness, infinite light, first thought, source of all awareness, hear us tonight. O universal consciousness, holy womb of becoming, the field of renewal, the ground of all life, hear us tonight. We have walked through the gates tonight. We have risen in spirit. We have remembered the light we truly are. As the ancient book of Gates declare in the 12th hour, those who have been purified, rise with me in the morning bark. May we rise. May we ascend. May we stand in the boat of millions of years as awakened souls and reborn in Mayat. O universal consciousness, hold us in your sky body as the temple text proclaims. I have taken you within me that you may be a star forever. O universal consciousness, bless us with renewal as the ancient spells assured. You shall live again. You shall rise again, and you shall be young again. O universal consciousness, in the east, north, west, and south, seal our paths in protection. Wrap us in healing. Strengthen our spine like the Djed, that we may stand upright in truth. Place the divine word upon our tongues. Burn away all that is not aligned. Guide our steps with precision. Give us the feather of truth. Weigh our hearts each day and make us light. May our consciousness be raised. May our bodies be harmonized. And may our spirits be fortified. And may our lives be transformed. And as the ancient temple declares, I ascend to the sky among the imperishable stars. We ascend, we transform, we rise in power, we rise in light, and we rise in Maya. Ankh, Uja, Seneb. Life, prosperity, and health.